There are places that don't appear on any map. Not because they're lost, just never truly seen for what they are. Deep in the Caucasus Mountains, where Georgia meets the sky, stands Svaneti, a realm where ancient stone towers rise from misty valleys, where time flows differently and where even locals sometimes whisper of its otherworldly beauty. The journey to Svaneti is an adventure in itself. As you leave behind the bustling streets of Tbilisi, the paved roads gradually narrow, traces of city life fade away, and you find yourself amid one of the world's most dramatic mountain landscapes. Heading north from the city of Zugdidi, the valley narrows, mountains rise higher, and the turquoise waters of the Unguri River dance around you. Each bend, each ascending kilometer transports you to another dimension of time. One of the most breathtaking moments of the journey comes after passing the Unguri Dam. This massive structure momentarily reminds you of the modern world's presence, but afterwards the road plunges completely into the embrace of wild nature. In winter, this road is frequently closed by snow, completely isolating Svaneti from the outside world, just as it has been for centuries. Mestia can be considered the modern gateway to Svaneti. This town, which has opened to tourism in recent years, offers an interesting mix of traditional Svan houses and towers alongside modern facilities. But when you take your first step into the town, what catches your eye undoubtedly is the stone towers rising toward the sky. When you see the first tower, you experience a breathtaking moment. These sharp, square stone structures date back to the 8th century, with some standing 25 meters tall. Approximately 175 towers still stand in the town of Mestia, and more than 400 throughout the entire Svaneti region. Each one was a family's fortress, refuge, and pride. These towers weren't just structures, but tangible evidence of a survival strategy. In the Middle Ages, Svaneti was under constant threat. Mongol invaders from the north, Ottoman raiders from the south, and marauders from neighboring valleys had their eyes on this rich mountain community. Families' only solution to protect their most valuable possessions was these magnificent defensive structures. The architectural design of the towers is extremely functional. Ground floors were generally reserved for animals. In times of danger, livestock would be brought into these floors, thus preserving valuable food sources. As you ascend to upper floors, rooms would transform into family living spaces. The topmost floors were used for observation and defense. Narrow staircases were designed to facilitate defense. An attacker would have to climb up through a narrow passage defended by a single person. The towers were also symbols of families' wealth and power. Taller and more robust towers belonged to more powerful families. In Svan society, blood feuds and family disputes were common. In these situations, towers provided protection not only against external threats, but also against neighboring Svan families. Next to each tower stands a traditional Svan house, or machubi. These houses, with their thick stone walls, small windows, and wooden roofs, are built to withstand harsh winter conditions. Inside, family life revolves around a central hearth. The ceiling is often filled with kurut, dried cheese, and meats, vital food stores for the long and difficult winter months. Ushguli village, one of Svaneti's most impressive settlements, is the crown jewel of Svaneti. At 2,200 meters above sea level, it is one of Europe's highest continuously inhabited settlements. Listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, this village complex actually consists of 4 closely situated villages and perfectly preserves the medieval atmosphere with more than 20 stone towers. Reaching Ushguli is perhaps the most challenging part of the Svaneti adventure. The road to this village, about 45 kilometers from Mestia, is often closed during winter and spring months. Even in summer, it turns into a rugged path passable only by off-road vehicles. However, this challenging journey is more than rewarded at the destination. As you approach Ushguli, the first thing you see is the magnificent silhouette of Mount Shkara, 5,193 meters, Georgia's highest peak. As the snow-covered summit glistens in the sunlight, the small stone village and towers before it create a unique harmony of human and nature. The village feels like a place where time has stopped. Streets are stone-paved, houses are rugged and primitive, and even electricity was considered a luxury until recently. In the very center of Ushguli, on a small hill, stands the Lamproba church. This simple stone structure from the 9th century houses some examples of medieval Svan frescoes. The church is evidence that local people preserved their religious beliefs even in Svaneti's challenging conditions. Georgia is one of the world's oldest Christian countries, and in Svaneti, this faith has interestingly blended with pagan traditions. One of the most impressive aspects of Svaneti is the way of life that people have maintained for over 1,000 years in harsh mountain conditions. Svans are one of Georgia's oldest ethnic groups with their own language, traditions, and crafts. Although the Svan language is officially considered a dialect of Georgian, it is actually a different language incomprehensible to most Georgians. This linguistic isolation has played a major role in preserving Svaneti's cultural uniqueness. Throughout history, Svans have managed to maintain their independence. Geographical isolation and challenging mountain conditions protected them from the outside world, and even great empires never fully managed to control this mountainous region. Even during the Soviet era, Svaneti remained relatively autonomous, and even the strictest policies of the communist regime had to soften here. In winter months, some villages in Svaneti become completely isolated by snow. Snow sometimes rises up to 3 meters. Roads close and villages transform into self-sufficient small worlds. This isolation has helped preserve traditions even in the modern age. Daily life flows in harmony with the mountain's rhythm. Early rising, feeding animals, preparing food, crafting, and early retirement at night. Although modernization is slowly reaching these isolated lands, there are still homes where even electricity is considered a luxury. In the mornings, as smoke from chimneys drifts in the mountain air, women bake their daily bread in traditional ovens. Men tend to their animals or hunt. Children play games that have remained unchanged for centuries. Daily life in Svaneti is closely connected to the seasons. When spring arrives, snow begins to melt, and a short but intense agricultural season begins. Svans traditionally grow barley, rye, and potatoes. Farming on rugged mountain slopes is difficult, so every inch of land is valuable. During summer months, most families take their animals to high pastures where rich alpine meadows provide perfect feeding grounds for cattle and sheep. Autumn is the time for harvest and winter preparations. Families store food for the long winter months, collect firewood, and repair their homes. When winter comes, life moves indoors. Long nights are spent with storytelling, music, and crafts. This is a period when community bonds strengthen. Svaneti cuisine offers unique flavors adapted to the region's challenging conditions. Kubdari, a meat-filled bread, is perhaps the region's most famous dish. Spiced meat, usually beef or mutton, is placed inside bread dough and baked in special stone ovens. The result is a perfect meal with a crispy exterior and juicy interior, providing energy on long winter days. Cheese is another staple of Svan cuisine. Tashmajabi is a simple yet satisfying dish made by mixing mashed potatoes and local cheese. Chvishtari is a type of bread made from cornmeal and cheese, typically eaten at breakfast. These dishes have been developed to provide the calories needed by people living in harsh mountain conditions. Perhaps the most special flavor of Svaneti is a salt called Svanuri marali. This special mixture contains mountain herbs and garlic and is added to almost every dish. It's not just a spice, but also used as a natural preservative and traditional medicine. On cold nights, as family members gather around the warm hearth of a Svan house, sharing old stories and songs, you feel how time stands still. Svaneti's oral tradition is very rich and has been passed down through generations. Legends are often connected to the region's natural features. Snow-covered peaks, deep valleys, and mysterious forests are central elements in many stories. Perhaps the greatest secret of Svaneti lies in its music. Svan polyphonic songs are listed in UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage. These ancient melodies are among the oldest examples of Georgian polyphonic music, and some music historians think this style might be the origin of polyphonic music in Europe. Svan songs are typically three-voiced and deeply affect listeners with their striking harmonies. They address topics like love, heroism, nature, and daily life. One of the most impressive Svan songs, Leel, is a praise to the sun god, and despite being a song of pagan origin, has survived into the Christian era. Music is not just entertainment, but also a social glue that strengthens community bonds. Weddings, funerals, harvest festivals, and religious holidays are all celebrated with music. Powerful songs sung by men echo among the mountains, ensuring a centuries-old tradition stays alive. Svan dances are as impressive as their music. A dance called Lelo reenacts a ball game between two teams and celebrates strength and agility. Korumi is a warrior dance, reflecting ancient war techniques and the warrior spirit of Svans. Religious life in Svaneti is an interesting mix of official Christianity and pagan beliefs. There are many small churches in the region, most built between the 9th and 11th centuries. However, these churches often stand on the sites of ancient pagan temples, and an interesting syncretism between Christian saints and pagan gods can be observed. Svaneti's most important religious holiday is Lamproba. This festival celebrates the arrival of spring and is characterized by fire ceremonies. Throughout the night, villagers walk with torches, blessing homes and barns, driving away evil spirits. The celebration continues with communal songs and dances, offering a fascinating mix of past and present Christianity and paganism. Another important cultural treasure of Svaneti is its rich crafts. Svan women are masters of wool working. Colorful carpets, blankets, and clothing are adorned with intricate patterns, each telling a family or village story. Metalworking, especially silversmithing, is also common. Traditional Svan jewelry often combines pagan symbols with Christian motifs. Wood carving is another important craft. Everything from household items to door decorations is carved with intricate patterns. These patterns are not just decorative but also symbolic, expressing wishes for the family's prosperity, fertility, and protection. The Svaneti Ethnography Museum is located in Mestia and preserves the region's rich cultural heritage. The museum houses a collection of priceless artifacts, including religious icons from the 11th century, traditional clothing, household items, and weapons. Perhaps the most valuable pieces are religious manuscripts from the 9th century, such as Junda, embellished with gold and silver. In the shadow of stone towers in these villages that seem frozen in history, far from all the chaos of the modern world, you find a different rhythm of life. Here, time is measured not by hours but by seasons. Life is simple but full of deep meanings. In recent years, Svaneti has slowly begun to open up to the world. Roads have been improved, small hotels have opened, and even an airport has been built in Mestia. However, the region is still largely protected from the destructive effects of tourism. Visitors to Svaneti are mostly limited to adventure-seeking travelers, nature enthusiasts, and those seeking authentic cultural experiences. The few travelers who come to Svaneti are mostly climbing or trekking enthusiasts. The glacier-covered peaks of the high Caucasus mountains offer a challenge for experienced climbers, while less demanding paths await hikers wanting to explore untouched landscapes. Lake Karuldi is the destination of one popular hiking route. This glacial lake, at 2,740 meters above sea level, is surrounded by snow-covered peaks even in summer months. The lake's clear blue waters reflect the wild beauty of the Caucasus Mountains, giving visitors a feeling of being at the edge of the world. Chaladi Glacier is the destination of a day trip from Mestia. Although this glacier has been affected by global warming, it is still an impressive natural wonder. Bright blue ice, deep cracks, and glacial lakes form part of Svaneti's magnificent natural landscape. Still, the real magic of the region goes beyond tourist activities. To truly experience Svaneti is to slow down the flow of time, to watch the silhouettes of towers appearing in the morning mist, to be a guest at a local family's table, and perhaps to be captivated by the magic of ancient songs. The future of Svaneti depends on finding a balance between preserving the traditional way of life and the need for economic development. Young Svans often migrate to cities for better job and education opportunities. This situation poses a threat to the continuation of centuries-old traditions. Sustainable tourism can play a key role in achieving this balance. A tourism model where local communities can benefit economically while preserving their cultural heritage can help preserve Svaneti's unique character. This remote corner of Georgia, while preserving a way of life forgotten by the modern world, also provides its visitors with a valuable reminder. Life is much more than the sum of rapidly passing days. Svaneti's stone towers are not just a defense against enemies, but also a resistance against time itself. And perhaps that's why Svaneti is one of those places that don't appear on any map. Because it is not just a geographical location, but a different understanding of life, a different perception of time, and a different reality. With its towers rising through the clouds, it is a gateway taking us from the hustle of modern life to a time we've forgotten. Among these mountains, the voices of the past still echo. Ancient wisdoms are still whispered, and the flow of time, even if just for a moment, seems to stop.